course, a very, very beautiful Monday, and it is not just any Monday. It is the first Monday in the month of December 2024, and I'm so excited to welcome you to the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. I am Sarah Owuswanta, and it's my pleasure to say Happy New Month. Welcome to the last month of the year. It's been an amazing ride so far. So many hiccups here and there, but we're glad we're here. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, I would not be doing this by myself this morning. I have Olumide right here in the studio with me. Good morning, Olumide.
Good morning, and I would say Happy Christmas month.
Happy Christmas month. It's beginning to smell and feel like Christmas. So I woke up on Friday and everything just felt dry, cold.
Yes.
You know, Christmas has this Harmattan
Yes.
feel, and it just came. Nobody saw it coming, and it has been like that for a while. My nose, everything. You have to moisturize your skin very well, apply balm, else you start having breakout and everything. But yeah, it's a Christmas month.
Well, it's a good one, and we are glad that we are at the end of the month, at the end of the year rather, and of course everybody will be winding down and be thinking about how they spent their year, whether they achieved their
New Year resolutions.
New Year resolutions or not, and make it any possible one. But does it actually feel like December is? I mean, the atmosphere,
Well,
Christmas trees.
I'll say decorations are starting to pop up. You know, you go to, I was able to go to some certain places, and you go to some places, you see they have Christmas lights, decorations already. Excuse me, the feel is coming, but it's not as it used to be.
All right, welcome to the Breakfast Cafe. I am Olumide Shokoya. So we start off with banters and etiquette in a moment. Stay tuned.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Welcome back, and today on Banters we'll be looking at self-recognition. Now, what is self-recognition? Self-recognition for me is recognizing that you are the GOAT, if I may say, the greatest of all time.
Right.
That's my own definition. But self-recognition is the ability to recognize and identify oneself as an individual separate from others. Now, it involves being aware of one's own thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and having a sense of one's own identity. I think that explains it. It's just recognizing that you are different from others, and so people cannot, lord their opinions over you. You have your own opinion of yourself, and that should always remain that. So let's look at some of the key aspects of self-recognition. One, identity formation. Self-recognition is closely tied to the development of one's identity. That means it involves understanding one's value, beliefs, and personality traits, and how they shape who we are. Also, awareness. Now, self-recognition requires a certain level of awareness, including awareness of one's emotion, strength, and of course, weaknesses.
It's very true. I would like to just say something briefly on that. You know, sometimes some people find it difficult to actually know their own strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
I had that problem as well. And as humans, we need to understand that it's okay to have weaknesses. It doesn't make you a failure. So the moment you understand that I'm not strong in this area, this is not my forte, this is not my area of expertise, it helps you now understand your own core strength.
Yes.
That, okay, I'm not good with this, but if you need me to do this or that thing, perfect. I'm excellent on it. So it's not bad to understand that you have weaknesses, and that will help you discover your strengths.
Definitely. Now we have differentiation. Now, self-recognition involves being able to differentiate oneself from others, recognizing what makes us unique and distinct. We have self-reflection. This is very important. Self-reflection also involves self-recognition rather involves self-reflection, examining one's own thoughts, feelings, actions, and how they align with our values and goals. This is something I always do every night. I think back at everything that happened throughout the day. I reflect on my attitude, how I spoke to this person, and I try to critique myself and become a better person.
So when you think about how you reacted to certain situations during the day, and you find out that, oh, you could have done better to this person, do you, while critiquing yourself, do you actually maybe the next day reach out to this person, go back to this person and say, oh, I shouldn't have spoken to you this way, or I should have handled the situation better? Do you do that, or you just critique yourself and say, oh, next time I'll do better?
It goes both ways, depending on who the person is and depending on how close the person is to me.
So piece of advice, I would say that regardless of whomever the person is, whether the person is close to you or not, I think it's okay when you realize that you handled a situation badly. I think it's okay to actually, even if it's to drop a text, you know what, I should have handled this better, you know, I'm sorry about it. That way you are also disciplining yourself. It goes beyond just saying, I'll do better, or the person is not close to me, I don't think I need to go back to meet the person. Everybody at least deserves that sort of closure.
Yeah. So moving on, we have importance. Now, self-recognition is important for building self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-improvement. It helps us understand our place in the world and how we fit into different social groups and communities. Now, let's look at examples of self-recognition. It includes being able to describe your own personality, values, and beliefs. These are one of the questions you get asked during interviews. Describe yourself, tell us about yourself, and all that. Now, recognizing your own emotions and how they impact your behavior. Being able to have, I know you always call it emotional intelligence is very, very important. I had to learn that thing, and once you have it, I mean, the sky is the limit. Moving on, we have having a sense of your own strength and weakness, just like Sarah said. Being able to set boundaries and prioritize your own needs. This is it's also important in all your relationships.
Yeah,
you have to.
People need to understand that the fact that you have a relationship with them, now I'm talking about every form of relationship, doesn't mean that they can cross certain lines. You need to be able to say, okay, no, this is my space. This is not your business. It is not your area of concern. It is not your place to interfere in this matter. No matter the relationship we have. So when you're able to, not everybody can just come into your space and do anyhow. When you're able to build certain boundaries, it would help you as well, and it's some of the ways you recognize yourself. And also sometimes those subtle jokes that people make that might seem like an insult, you also need to let people know that, no, I don't find this funny. This is not funny. Please, I do not, that is also setting boundaries, letting people know that there are certain jokes that might sound as an insult to others. Now, moving on, we have understanding how you fit into different social groups and communities. You need to also understand that it's not all groups, it's not all gangs you might fit in. Some you might not fit in. That your friends are doing well in certain areas doesn't mean that you have to be there. It's not it might not be your thing. So don't try to force yourself into it because you're seeing other people do it. Just find your own thing and work with your own thing. That way you're able to function better.
Yeah, and also in closing, I found out that I have a couple of friends who go out every day to drink. I don't fit there. I have a couple of friends who go out every day to party. I don't fit there. So I have to try and channel myself to where I fit in, and I'm good with myself. I'm sure you've learned one or two things from this. So we'll end this banters and etiquettes right now. I will move on to the newspapers in a moment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe, and this segment is called the Newspaper Review, where we take a look at stories on the front pages of The Punch, The Guardian, The Vanguard, as well as The Daily Trust, and we have a conversation with our guest. We also open the phone line so you can call in and send and let us know your thoughts. But let's kick off this morning with the Punch newspaper. It has an interesting read talking about the tax reforms, and this one says House of Reps suspend debate indefinitely as northern governors mount pressure. One writer to that story, 72 lawmakers, Zulum Tambuwal reject bills as APC slams critics as northern groups protest. I'll take that writer again. 72 lawmakers, Zulum Tambuwal reject bills. APC slams critics as northern group protest. Talking about this tax reform bill, it seems to be causing a lot of back and forth.
Yes.
You to think that the president is... Do you think that this, despite the fact that northern groups are protesting, despite the fact that 72 lawmakers and others have rejected the bill, do you think it would not stand?
Well, first of all, this is the first time I'm seeing the National Assembly
Contest.
actually, debate on a matter.
Yeah.
Usually it's always send
Easy
the bill
passage.
and pass it. So it's a good thing. Democracies are at war. But why the northern governors...
Let me interrupt you for a bit. You said it's a good thing, democracy at work. Okay, don't you? Some people believe that the reason why this debate is coming back and forth is because it's not in the interest of some certain sect.
Yes.
So it's not as... So some people don't think that it is actually for democracy. It's just because they believe it's not going to benefit some people while it will benefit some people.
But that's why lawmakers reject certain bills. If it's not in their own interest or in the interest of their constituency,
but
they will
shouldn't
reject
it be more on for the interest of the people?
Yes.
Should it be for the interest of the constituency or whatever? It should be for the interest of the people. But these days, it doesn't seem like that's even a major factor.
Yes, and a lot of things, and it boils down to how well states are doing. That's why this tax reform bill is causing a lot of debate. You don't see Southwest, you don't see some other states contesting. Why? Fine, they might also contest, but it's not loud. It's louder in the north. So it's a case of this bill, before it was actually summed up together, did you actually consult these governors? Because sometimes before you pass a bill, but it's good that they're debating on it. Well, I guess maybe they did not really do their due diligence. Maybe they did not really, and that's why we have the Economic Council to debate on these things before the bill is now sent to the National Assembly. Maybe the northern governors feel they were left out, they were not consulted before this bill, and of course they have to protest.
Very true. But you get all the details on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Just above the masthead, we have another interesting read here. No, beside the masthead, sorry. Minimum wage strike begins in 5 states as FCT. Strike begins in 5 states and FCT as panel meets. So this conversation around the minimum wage is a big deal. Strike begins in 5 states as well as the FCT as panel meets. We'll see what comes out of their meeting. It's also on page 2, and we can see the pictorial representation of the NLC president, Joe Ajaero, just there.
It's quite funny how we fight to get a minimum wage, and we are now fighting to implement it. It only happens in Nigeria.
Right. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Moving on from that story, talking about Port Harcourt refinery, low-key operation begins. Marketers oppose 1,030 naira per litre.
Is the refinery actually, because there's a lot of controversy around this refinery that some people, I mean, even the brother of former governor Fayose said something regarding. A lot of people have come out to dispute this fact. So is it actually up and running?
Well, we saw reports, and based on what we've seen, it is actually running at the moment too. We can't contest that right now. Page 23 has all the details of that story. Swiss cement maker sells $1 billion stake in Lafarge. That's on page 25. You get all the details. Military retirees plan protest over unpaid entitlements. These people that, I feel like there are certain sectors that should not even fight for certain things. It should come naturally to them. People that are retired.
Yes.
We saw videos one time, I think early this year, or late last year, pensioners that were outside waiting for their pension, lamenting. These people have earned it. It shouldn't be something that should take time before they get. should come just
naturally.
Seeing military planning protests
I've seen
over
people,
unpaid
you know,
entitlements. Come on.
I've
That's
seen
not
retirees who start getting their pension 5 years, 6 years after.
No.
It's quite sad.
Page 9 has all the details. Moving on from that story, mother and 2 children killed as arsonists set family ablaze in Lagos. Very sad story. Pages 4 and 5 has the details. And lastly on the Punch, how Obasanjo rejected single-term presidency. That's from Olanik Pekun. You get all the details on page 8, Punch newspaper. That wraps it up on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, quickly, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. Just like Sarah read from the Punch, Labour begins nationwide strike. Cities empty, promises by governor. I beg your pardon, let me take that again. Labour begins nationwide strike. Cities empty, promises by governors. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Just below that, we have Atiku, Zulum lead Northern opposition against tax bills ahead of National Assembly debate. You can get more of that story on news page 6. I never knew Gowon saved me from Abacha. Wow, Obasanjo says. Quite an interesting story. You might want to read about it on news page 3. Now below that, 2027, Splinter APC group moves to register with INEC. That's on news page 3. Quite an interesting story. I mean, this is just 2024, and we're already having groups coming out of the APC and about to register as another party with INEC. Now, moving on, we have this one. Government mom as poly lecturers begin strike today. I mean, it's strike at the end of the year. It's quite really sad. Moving on, we have this one. Judiciary graft, abuse of power, diminish public confidence. This is Attorney General of the Federation saying this. We'll have that on news page 5. There's a picture here. You could see Dangote. I'm trying to get the... All right, we have the president of Angola, yes, and with Dangote. You can see quite a friendly handshake there. And below that, we have name contractors that disappeared with MDA's 167 billion naira. Serap tells Tinubu, this was a report that came last week about this whole scandal, this big scandal. I mean, but I hope that they will get to the bottom of this.
But do you think that Serap is going in the right direction? Do you think that Serap is requesting the right thing, saying they should name the contractors? We know that Serap most times, when things like, they're like a human rights organization, right? So when things like this happen, they are vocal, they speak, trying to protect the interest of the people. But do you actually think that they would dictate this? But before I get your thoughts on that, let's quickly go on a short break. We'll be back in a moment.
Bad production can kill a great content idea.
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
High Impact Radio, 102.1 FM. The future is now.
Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review on High Impact Television, and we're still on The Guardian. The last headline, let me take the last headline. It says, Group demands regionalism, parliamentary system, and a new name for Nigeria. Well, you can get more of that story. It's on news page 3, and that rounds it up on The Guardian newspaper this morning.
I'm already thinking of the new name that, Nigeria is going to be called. There's a time they were giving, is it UAR?
Yeah, UAR or UAE, something like
Well, that's it, like Olumide said on The Guardian newspaper. Do not forget, you can be a part of the conversation, 0812-182-0154. We move straight to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And the major caption says, Central Bank of Nigeria to retire 1,000 and offers, so retire 1,000 staff, I believe, offers 50 billion naira payoff to riders. They are offering me 97 million for 4-year service. Interesting. 17 sacked directors yet to be replaced. All of this is on page 4, Daily Trust newspaper. Away from that, 2027, Atiku Obi's parley in Yola reignite merger permutations. Gearing up for the next elections already. It's not even been 2 years since the current administration came into office, but that's politics for you. You get all the details on page 12. Away from that story, FSGRN reacts to Supreme Court lottery regulation judgment, unveils reciprocity licensing regime. Get all the details on the Daily Trust newspaper. The federal government begins malaria vaccination for children today. Interesting. Page 4 has the details. Minimum wage, states race to beat NLC deadline. I like the fact that they are racing. We hope that they race and get there in time. Page 6 has the details. Obasanjo to go on. I never knew you asked Abacha not to kill me. Interesting read there on page 2. And lastly, experts differ on impact of Tinubu's tax reform on North. That's on page 23, and that's all we have on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Right, to the Guardian, to the Vanguard, I beg your pardon. The Vanguard newspaper, let's see what we have on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. It says here, the bold caption, we discussed this earlier on, but let me read it. Port Harcourt refinery, tanker drivers at war over delay in product. Quite interesting. Let's see how, fine, yes, the Port Harcourt refinery has opened, Dangote refinery has opened. We hope that the Kaduna refinery and other refineries would start to, function so that price of petrol would reduce. I know last weekend we had the report that I think Dangote's petrol is, I think,
so
97.
That it dropped from 990 to 970 naira.
Yeah, so I think there's
20
this
naira
difference and all that. So that's how competition starts. They begin to reduce it until we have petrol at 200 naira. That's my goal. That's my prayer. I mean, it can actually happen. But moving on, we have this one. Beside that, we have how Nigeria struggles to raise crude oil production. That's another report you would like to read about. Now, we have more stories here. We have Port Harcourt refinery, tanker driver. Okay, I've read that. Now, we have FCCPC engages Air Peace and others over alleged consumer rights violation. Now, beside that, or below that, we have this one. Hardship. Nigeria in urban areas now embrace firewood and charcoal for cooking.
Because the price of cooking gas has really skyrocketed.
Yes, it has.
And not everybody can afford it. Imagine you are earning how much and you need to use a chunk of that just to buy electricity unit and refill your gas. It's not a sustainable plan for most middle income earners.
Charcoal in this.
That is what. No, that is what we were using. So we're not talking about the safety right now, it's the affordability. People that use it just have something they call, is it copot or something, where they put the charcoal and that's what they can afford, Even kerosene is no longer affordable right now.
Yes.
So people are opting, although they've modernized, I've seen some charcoal, copot and everything that has been modernized. So, people are buying it. So then charcoal used to be about 100 naira inside and it was enough then. So it's more affordable for people right now.
Well, I hope the government will look into this and try and see how they can reduce the price of these things for Christmas and all that. And not just for Christmas, but for the entire year. Now, and that's all we have right now coming from the newspaper. So we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring in our guest. Stay tuned.
High Impact Radio 102.1 FM. The future is now.
Welcome back to the newspaper review on High Impact Television. We've taken a look at stories making the rounds on the front pages of the national dailies, and the number to call is displayed on your screen. You can call in and let us know your thoughts. We move. Let's just talk about some of these headlines. You know, one of the things that is trending on all the papers, surprisingly, is the tax reform bill.
Yes.
And I'm seeing the story with Zulum, who is the
Yes.
Borno State governor, has stated that if this bill is passed into law, out of the 36 states and the FCT, only Lagos State will benefit from it. Now, this is what Zulum says. The governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, has clarified his position on the controversial tax reform bill, saying he was not an enemy of President Bola Tinubu's administration. He, however, insisted that if the 4 tax bills currently undergoing review before the Green Chamber are passed into law, only one of the 36 states, which is Lagos, will be the major beneficiary. He stated this on Sunday, which was yesterday. He further went on to say he supports President Tinubu. He has been supporting him from 2019 to 2023. Unfortunately, the president was told by many that the North is against him. I don't know who told him that. Now, he also stated that despite the fact that about 60% of the votes the president got during the elections came from the North, there were a lot of rumors going around. Now, according to him, there is a lot of misconception about this tax issue.
Okay.
And they've asked the federal government to pause for a moment to have a deeper consultation with stakeholders. In the past few weeks, the controversial bill has pitched the 36 state governors against the federal government, with the former calling for the withdrawal of the bill to create room for more consultation. So they believe that this bill, if passed into law, would damage the region, particularly the North. It would damage their economy if it is implemented. That's the same thing the former vice president and presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has also said, and he has called for transparency and fairness and a further review of the tax reform bill.
Well, quite interesting one. I actually saw another interesting story here from the Vanguard newspaper. I don't know how true it is, but it says here, Nigerians were living fake lives before now. Now, this statement is accredited to President Tinubu. I don't know how, what parameters were used to come to this final conclusion that we were living fake lives before 2023, and now into 2024 we are living better off than the life we were living before.
I think you should go into the details of the story. Go to the Vanguard and get the details of the story so we understand the context in which we are speaking from. So is the president saying that before now we have been pretending, or is saying things are
better off?
So let's understand that message. If you could get the details of the story from the Vanguard. It was on the Vanguard newspaper, right?
Yes, well, on the Vanguard newspaper.
So if you can get the details of the story, it would help us understand.
We'll come back to that. But the major one I wanted us to talk about is the one that the group is demanding for regionalism, parliamentary system of government, and of course a new name for Nigeria. So my question is, do you think Nigeria will be better off if we're operating with what we've seen in the National Assembly, how they pass bills, and do you think Nigeria will be better off if we were running a parliamentary system of government whereby the National Assembly will elect one of them to lead the country? Do you think it would be different from what we are seeing now?
Well, sometimes you can't tell on certain things until they happen. So we might not be able to make that analysis. But I found that story that says State of the Nation, we're living a fake life before now. And there's a writer to that story. The president says his tough policies are yielding results. I think you should let Nigerians be the judge of that. Right now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has described the pre-2023 Nigerian economy as a facade, asserting that his administration's tough policy decisions, including subsidy removal, and exchange rate unification, were necessary to avert the nation's collapse. Now, the president made these remarks in Ondo State. He explained, and I quote, We took the baton of authority at a time when our economy was nosediving due to heavy debts from fuel and dollar subsidies. These subsidies, meant to support the poor, ironically made life harder for the average Nigerian. The good life we thought we were living was a fake one, capable of leading the country to total collapse unless urgent strategic efforts were taken. He further expressed the fact that the results of the policies are already yielding expected outcomes, and the macroeconomy of our country is improving daily, while the microeconomy, which directly impacts citizens, is also taking shape with positive results. I'm no economist though. Maybe economists would have a deeper analysis of these policies that the president has rolled out and how he says it's yielding results. But despite the fact that I'm not an economist, based off what we see as a common man,
Yes.
it's going to be a different narrative for us. So I believe that before, so in professional or technical terms, it might be yielding results to an extent back end, right? But this is what we are seeing. We're not seeing any form of succor. We're not seeing any form of relief. Everything has doubled, tripled. I was at the supermarket yesterday. I was like, okay, let me just get a few things. And things that I could remember buying about 4 months ago.
Yes.
The difference, if not almost double the price. And I'm like, how did we even get here? So how do you explain to me, how do you explain to a Nigerian that is just trying to live each day as it comes by that back end though, your policies are yielding results, but we're not seeing the fruits of it. Every day all we're seeing is some sort of increase, and once it goes up, it doesn't come down. That's our reality as a country.
You know, if you remember, we did a report where we went to the market and we asked a couple of traders how they were faring. I remember this particular woman who talked about a 3 kg gas selling for 22,000 naira. Now that same 22,000 naira is what I used to buy my 12.5 kg gas then. And a 3 kg gas is selling for 22. And she said that she has actually bought that thing for quite a while and nobody has. So I feel the only way we can actually know, the only way we can see that this thing is working is if the SMEs are actually booming. If they are finding it very hard to thrive in their economy. I find it funny, I find it rather strange how you convince international investors to come into Nigeria to invest, where even the local people are not even thriving.
You see that particular statement, yeah, I'm sure you were following the trend last week where singer and Afrobeat sensation Davido had an interview session and he made certain comments, and some people gave a backlash, some people is stating the fact. You know, sometimes we don't need people to actually, people can see, right? So people came from the angle of, oh, he's an influencer, in quote, he has a lot of influence. Making that kind of statement can mar opportunities. At the same time, it could be from the angle of, I'm stating this openly because I also see it. I also feel it, and it's a subtle call that something needs to be done. It could be a sort of attention drawing. So it could go both ways. I'm not going to pick a side and say, oh, this is what it is. But if you look at it from this side, it makes some sense. If you look at it from this other side as well, it makes some sense. Talking about investors coming into the country, they can see. The few ones that we had a couple of international businesses that were thriving in Nigeria. Now, a couple of them have left. I wanted to get a particular drug a few weeks back, and that drug was not available in any pharmacy. And they kept explaining that, oh, they have left the country. So that has an effect on us already because no other person is producing that drug. At the same time, as much as we think that it is so bad and people are leaving, there are people that are also coming, taking advantage of opportunities that they are seeing, regardless of how we are complaining that the economy is bad. They are finding ways to boom. They are finding ways to thrive, even with the bad economy. So it depends on how you choose to see it. It depends on the perspective you use to view it. It doesn't take away the fact that we that are supposed to be the major beneficiaries of it are not feeling it at all. We are not feeling it. The impact, I don't know the yardstick the president used to measure his policies yielding the expected outcome. is this actually the expected outcome? So is this the plan? Was this the plan from the beginning? Or we're not even there yet? There's a picture I saw, there's a statement, I think last week, where the president said, I will not rest until, how did I forget this? He made a particular statement, and trust social media to go agog, you know, especially with the way he stood, his position. And we were like, we are in for it already. Well, the president was obviously, you know, talking about something else. But like I said, and I'm going to say it again, the policies might be giving results from the back end, the professional angle. Maybe the Minister of Finance is in a better position to understand this. He's also the coordinating Minister of the Economy, by the way, so he might understand what exactly the president is talking about. But I think that they should be able to let the common man feel it. Let us be able to say, yes, things are actually better. I got a blender sometime in February for about 27,000 naira, and someone wanted to buy about last month, and it was double the price. And I'm like, so I advise people now, if you want to buy anything, household items or whatever, just try, because if you try to buy it now, you might decide to wait till next month and you see a 10,000 naira increase on it. So
you know, that was what affected some of our international students abroad who were saving money, and the dollar kept going up and going. That is what would also affect people here in Nigeria who are saving to buy certain things, and the price keep going up, going up, going up. So how do you actually meet up?
As cost of salaries are not going up, standard of living is going up. So there's a lot of disparity. It doesn't match, doesn't add up.
I mean, look at the 1,000 people that are to be sacked by the CBN now. Now 1,000 families are going into, who knows what they're going into.
But one of the riders said, one of them said they were going to pay 97 million.
For 4 years.
They are not, I wouldn't use the word sack. They are retiring them.
Retiring.
Yes, let's be careful and particular about the words. They are retiring 1,000 staff members, and they are offering 50 billion naira payoff. And one of them said they are offering him 97 million naira for a 4-year service. Now, I don't know if he's saying that statement from a place of, oh, it doesn't suffice, or it actually is something.
Yes.
So,
well, 97 million naira, I mean, it's quite a whole lot. Now, let's look at another one. It says here, hardship. Nigerians in urban areas now use firewood, charcoal for cooking. It's quite, you know, interesting that, you know, this is our new reality. I mean,
have you eaten firewood jollof before?
I've heard that thing.
Maybe we should even go back to it.
Yes. Back in the days when you go to parties, firewood jollof rice it slaps differently.
It hits differently.
Yes. But these days, I really don't know.
Do people see? If I see somebody using firewood or charcoal now to cook, I'm not even moved. I'm not, in the sense that that is what they can afford. Do you understand? Imagine a family of 6. Father works as a security, mother works as a janitor, and both of them salary combined is not up to 70,000 naira. And they have about 3-4 kids going to school. They'll buy uniform. It's not as if the public schools in quote it's supposed to be
free,
but they still make some sort of payment. They'll pay for rent. They'll buy foodstuffs in the house. You know, say they should buy gas. If they find charcoal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Honestly,
but how safe is it?
I think it's even safer than gas. I don't think it is actually safer than gas. Gas is very, if you're not careful, any little mistake, it could lead to something very big in the sense of it. So I don't see anything wrong in it. And then with this whole hardship, I saw in the news that they want to ban sachet water, popularly called pure water. I don't know if you've seen that news in Lagos. So
that's going to put a lot of people out of business.
Imagine in traffic, people that sell sachet water, and then some people cannot afford to buy bottled water, and then you say you're scrapping it, you're banning it. So they're telling everybody, you know what, if you cannot buy plastic bottled water, maybe you boil your water.
Which brings me back to the SMEs. Now, imagine someone who has invested. Pure water business right now is not cheap money. You need a lot of capital to go into that business. So imagine someone who probably started this thing 2 or 3 years ago. I know, I was talking with my brother yesterday, and he said some of these people, they go to the state ministry, they go to the government to register these things, and they see that they are coming to register, and you won't tell them that probably, oh, in 2 or 3 years, don't.
Would they know? Now, the ban on styrofoam,
Yes.
styrofoam was banned a couple of months back.
Yes.
Would anybody have known in that sense 3 or 4 years back that they were going to ban styrofoam?
Well,
it's
they
causing
banned.
some sort of environmental hazard,
That was
which
why it
was one of the
banned.
major triggers and the reason for the ban. But people that were running the business 4 or 3 years ago, nobody would have known that come 2024 there was going to be a ban on styrofoam.
Okay.
So you cannot blame them for registering these businesses and not telling them, oh, this business will be banned. It's not their call. Like, at that point, they can't decide that. They can't state that.
Yes.
So it's not on them.
Which now brings me back to what we discussed a while ago about having a, I've forgotten how our guest put it, having a kind of policy that would transcend from different administrations to the other, so that one administration will not come and upturn a particular, because in Nigeria you find out that certain policies wipe people out of business.
Let's even go away from governance, even within ourselves, businesses, corporate organizations. We have that problem, we have that challenge, where someone is in office and certain rules are made and the person needs to leave office and someone else is brought in. All the rules that the person made doesn't stand. The other person coming in wipes everything off.
Yeah.
So there's no continuum.
Yes.
Now they say government is a continuum, right? But there's no continuum. So when this person comes in, I don't want to know what this other person has put in place. I'm coming in with my own policies. That's what they usually do. So whatever is, that's why someone will be in office, and in government office, they will renovate the office. So maybe they renovated it in 2022. That was the last renovation.
Yes.
Then the person doesn't win the next election. The person's tenure is over.
Yeah.
And another person comes in. The person doesn't care if they renovated it in 2022 or not. The person wants another renovation to the person's taste.
Yes.
Right? So the person's policies, the outgoing person, go with your policies. There's no synergy, there's no sync, there's no handover. Okay, this is what I've put in place, this is what I'm trying to achieve. I think you should go through it, understand the idea, see how you can progress with it. No, everybody wants to do their own. For myself, and it goes beyond government, like I said, even in our personal spaces, corporate organizations, businesses, we have that challenge.
Brings me back to what President Tinubu said during this campaign, that he was going to continue from where President Buhari stopped. And now from the papers now saying that what President Muhammad did, former President Muhammad did, was a myriad or a facade. It now brings you into this realm of, are we actually, are these parties, are they actually in sync? If the same people from the same parties can have two different ideas.
I think one of the major challenges, in my opinion, is so it's no longer a party thing.
Again.
So now it's different if, party XYZ, that's the party I'm going to use. Party XYZ is a body. They have their members. Party XYZ has a goal for the country they want to govern. As a party, they share that goal and idea with the members. So the members know what they are running with.
Yes.
They are running with the goal of the party for that nation.
Okay.
That's one thing. It's another thing if party XYZ is just a party. It has its members, but I'm member A, I have my own goal. You're member B, you have your own goal.
Yes.
Member C to F have their own goals. We are not working with one goal. So what I want to do as member A is not what you want to do as member B. We are just all under that canopy of XYZ, but we all have our... So if I come in as member A, what I'm doing is member A. It's no longer a party XYZ thing. So I think that's one of the major challenges. So if we're able to get a system where as a party, as a body, we have a vision, we have a goal. So the members are working with that vision and goal. It will be in synergy. it should be in sync. But if everybody is doing their own the way they want to, we might continue to have this problem of
sort of like the Republicans and the Democrats in the United States. They have their ideology different from each other. But I think let's quickly go on a short break. And, of course, we'll be rounding up the newspaper review right now. But stick around. We still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe. We'll be back shortly.
Laconic, laconic, laconic.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. We've done the first half of the show, and I'm sure you're ready for the second half of the show that will be kicking off with our views from the net. What we do here is we throw out a question a day before. We get you to send in your thoughts on the question. We come on the show, read out your thoughts, and also open the phone lines and have you call in to give us your responses as well. And the question for today is, very funny one, because I found myself in this situation so many times. Have you ever accidentally sent a text or email to the wrong person, and what was their response? Mine, I was very naive then. It was many years back. The first 2 times it happened, it was, I wanted to send a text to my boyfriend at the time. I now sent it to my mom. You know, at the time, I don't even know how that happened. There are no, like I said, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I just, let's just say the rest is history, because then I was still, you know, it's not like I was young like that, but you know our parents now. And, well, we got past it, you know, but I've sent a work message that is not meant for someone, like a message, a very confidential office message to someone else, and the person was fast to read it before I could delete it, and I'm like, okay, no, it's not for you. Yeah. I'm sorry. But after then, I double check, I look at it 2 times. Is this the number? Is this the name? Before I send it, so I don't find myself in that situation.
Yeah, it happens a lot to me. I mean, that's happened to me quite a lot. Even I think yesterday, I think I sent him a message I was not supposed to send to someone, but it was not that confidential and all that, and I quickly deleted it.
The one Olumide does a lot, that I'm a victim of, will I say victim? I'm a recipient of wrong calls.
Yes, that one happens. Yeah.
These days, when I say Olumide's call, I'll first wait, because if Olumide calls you 10 times in a week, 9 times it was a mistake.
Yeah, sometimes.
So Olumide will say, sorry, it's not you. I wanted to call someone. I'm like, why? What is it? Are you so fond of me? Is it that you love me that much that at every little opportunity you dial my number? You know, it's okay
you know how it is when you're trying to call someone and it doesn't go through, and you decide to call the person again, not knowing that the person's name is not the top of the list. So it's actually the person that was there before. So when you dial that number,
just say you love me so much. It's
okay. But I think I've sent a wrong message to a particular lady I was wooing, and I was gossiping to someone else. So the message I was supposed to send to the other person,
you now send it to the lady that you're wooing, and you were gossiping about her. How did you handle that?
Well, it wasn't that bad.
Was her name mentioned?
No, her name was not mentioned.
Okay.
I was just saying, imagine what this lady did to me. So she saw it and she was like, I never reached that level, and we laughed over it and all that, you know, and all that. So it has happened to me a whole lot, you know. So most of the time I'm always careful, but sometimes you cannot be too careful. Sometimes you cannot be
These days I'm too careful.
All right, so let's start off. This one says, I accidentally confessed a crush to the wrong person, and the recipient was very understanding and simply responded, I think you meant this for someone else, but no worries. Funny enough, she became one of my good friends, Ayokunle Modupe from Ilupeju, Lagos. Quite interesting.
Right. But let's see what Gift from Lagos says. Gift says, she said I shouldn't delete it because it was a screenshot of the chats that I accidentally sent to the same person. I explained and got tired. You know what they say, you go explain.
Yeah.
No evidence.
So she screenshot. Wow. It's quite sad. Imagine you screenshotting something, if a person, and not sending it back to that person. That is clear indication that you are gossiping.
Yeah.
It must have been very embarrassing. Now, this one says, yes, so I have accidentally sent the same person, some persons rather, airtime. And when I call them, sometimes they will lie that they didn't receive any airtime. Some will not pick up at all. When I accidentally call a number and they pick, they will just say wrong number and hang up. This is Onwuke Chisom from Benin City. I think I've done that before. I mistakenly sent a large amount of money to my sister, my younger sister, and I quickly called her to tell her that, though I had to part ways with some of that money.
Yes, now, if I'm your sister too, you how can you say so you want to send the money to someone else? Okay, me, I don't deserve money.
The money wasn't actually, it was someone else.
So she does not deserve money.
It wasn't actually my money.
You cannot get, if it was 20,000, you cannot get 20,000 back. Service charge, everything. That I'll transfer the money back. They'll remove charges. For my stress too. I'll no. See, thumbs up to your sister. I'm proud of her. That's the spirit. But let's move on. Let's see Ade from Surulere. Ade says, yes, I once sent a text about how annoying my boss was to my boss. She replied, noted. I almost resigned that day. I don't want to picture this. Imagine you want to rant, you want to vent to your friend or a family member about something happening, maybe something you're not comfortable with at the office, and it involves your boss. And you've typed the long message, and you just say send, and you just find out that it was your boss who sent it. Just, well, it also, so I think, I wanted to say it also depends on the person you're dealing with, but that's a very dicey situation. It's a very dicey situation because you have to, now explain, and your boss will be like, okay, so this is what you think of me. This is what you have been talking about. You now have to start explaining. But if it's a boss that has a level of maturity, and the boss should take that as an avenue to have a conversation with this person. So I've made you feel this way, why did you talk about it? But if, most people will not talk about it.
They will double that shaking.
You're just about to get into it.
Now, this one is Toby from Abuja. I mistakenly sent a love letter meant for my girlfriend to my aunt. Wow, she called a family meeting to pray for me. Toby from Abuja. I can imagine the content of that letter. It's quite interesting. I think that has happened to me. I think I told Vivian also that a love letter during vows that my dad found in my wardrobe, and the gift.
You told me.
It was quite embarrassing. But I scaled through. We listen, we don't judge.
We listen. I know somebody that will judge you. I know someone that will tell you that I'm listening, I'm judging. She will judge you because I don't even want to go into that. That particular trend is getting out of hand. But let's see Joy from Lekki. Joy says, I sent my bank details to a group chat. Instead of a private message, someone replied, are you looking for a sponsor? Embarrassing. Joy from Lekki. It depends on the group chat though. There's a time, okay, so my brother said I should send my account number, and we have a group chat. So instead of sending it to him in his DM, I went to send it to him. All of you should see it. All my other siblings, all of you should see it. Am I looking for money? Yes. Am I looking for a sponsor? Yes. I'm not going to delete it. You people should see it and send money. So I imagine sending your account number to a family, to a work group chat or a school group chat.
It has happened. It happened to my brother. So one of my mom's tenants paid an amount of money, and usually paying to my brother's account. So my brother sent it to my mom. He mistakenly sent the receipt to the group, our family group. It was quite embarrassing because now everybody will know that my mom has a certain amount of money. So my mom called. We had another group, our own family. My mom called a meeting, and she was ranting. Why would you do that? Why would It was quite.
Mom, it's a mistake, but why you are still angry? Just quickly send me 50K. Mommy, don't be angry. Mommy, it will happen again. Quickly send me 45K.
You know, so it was. She felt that that message shouldn't have entered that now. So people will now know that so you actually have someone just sent you, and how Nigerians are sometimes.
People that mistakenly send voice notes. Uncle, you want to send a voice note, a very bad voice note or something about gossip. You now send it to your office group chat.
These days when people send me messages, I quickly save it just in case.
Wow. Oh, so when I send you messages to you, well, I don't send you.
When you send me, when you send me voice notes or pictures or something, I quickly, because people that are these days, they are fond of doing that. So
you quickly save it. Why?
So that I will know what you are planning to send now.
I don't understand.
So in case you delete it again. I used to have someone who was constantly sending messages and would delete it immediately. Once I read it, would delete it immediately.
So why are you saving it?
These days you must have receipts.
But that's the problem now. We have conversations of people having things they did not want outside, going outside.
And these days we have people denying certain things also. That I didn't say this, I didn't say this, I didn't say this.
I'm not even about to get into this back and forth. Let's see Charles from Zaria. Charles says, I texted my lecturer. Hey babe, I miss you. Thinking it was my girlfriend. Called me to discuss boundaries. To think that it was guy to guy. Yeah. If your lecturer was a female,
yes.
Okay, you are saying but you see that I can't wrap my head around it. Your lecturer did not have a DP, your girlfriend did not have a DP. I want to believe it's WhatsApp or is it text
maybe
message?
It's a guy to a girl. Maybe it was a guy sending it to a female lecturer.
Charles from Zaria, yes.
Maybe the lecturer was a female.
No, that's what I'm saying. That in the message, Charles says he called me to discuss boundaries.
Okay, he.
So the lecturer was a man, apparently. But thank you, Charles.
Now this one says, accidentally forwarded a work complaint to the HR group chat. Wow, they replied with noted. Let's discuss this at the next meeting. Mary from Ikeja. Well, you sent it to the HR, so the HR would actually work on it.
Right. Peter from Just says, I mistakenly sent a voice note meant for my friend complaining about my pastor to my pastor. He said, I forgive you.
Peter.
Go and sin
no more.
Let it end there.
This one says, I sent an I love you message, or I love you message rather, to my cousin instead of my wife. He replied, love you too, bro. Awkward. Dan Ladi from Abuja. Well, the guys, we tend to understand these things sometimes.
But I thought they say guys don't show love. They don't. The guys have a weird way. You cannot hear guys telling each other, I love you.
Yeah, it sounds weird for
Why?
a guy to, even a brother to a brother. I mean, tell my brother I love you.
You don't tell your brother I love you?
I actually have, that kind of feeling for him, but I can't just say I love you. It sounds like sound in your
But
mouth.
you can tell your sister.
Have I? Well, maybe.
You can tell your mom.
Yes.
You can't tell your dad.
You look at me like, do you want money from me? Are you trying to bill me?
So when you tell your mom, she doesn't say, are you trying to bill me?
Well, sometimes, depending on the atmosphere, depending on why I'm telling her that. If that's the first thing I'm telling her, then she knows that I'm up to something.
Right. Chinyere from Enugu has something interesting to say. Chinyere says, I mistakenly posted an embarrassing selfie in a professional group chat. They turned it into a meme. That's just the best way to deal with it. Laugh it off. When you see it, you just turn it to a joke.
Well, this one is quite interesting also. I sent my exam answers to the entire class group instead of my partner. The lecturer responded, thanks for your honesty. I live out for my career.
People have done things so.
Wow.
Obayo from Abeokuta says this, I accidentally sent my manager my weekend party pictures. He replied, nice moves, but don't forget Monday's deadline. Bayo, this is fantastic in the sense that, okay, maybe you didn't take permission. Imagine you called into the office, you called your manager that you are sick, or you cannot come in, you have an emergency because you want to go for a party. And then in the course of your party, out of your phone, you now forget that mistakenly send pictures of that one you explain.
You explain, yeah.
Because how are you sick, calling in sick, and then you're at the party, you want to lie that it's your true back. It cannot be your true back.
Well, you say you got well and you were forced to the party, you had to attend.
So anytime we already know that that's the scope you're going to.
I'm just putting it out there.
No. That has been noted. Producer, thank you. Not that
might have been used before. Now this one says, I sent a funny meme to my dad's church group instead of my friend's chat. They said, what is the meaning of this? This is Kenny from Akure.
Just imagine, I'm trying to imagine how daddy's church is. And imagine sending all these funny stickers.
Yes. Very
funny stickers. And trust Nigerian African parents.
Yes.
What's the meaning of it? You will not be a dog in Jesus' name. Imagine sending a sticker, maybe it's a dog and the dog is just trying to just show an expression. Next just is, what's the meaning of this? You will not be a dog in Jesus' name. God will not make you a dog. And you're like, chill, down. Just take a chill pill, So I'm just imagining what daddy's group chat is like and the kind of meme would have sent there and all of that. But that's interesting. Olamide from Ilorin says this, I forwarded a joke about my uncle's bald head to him instead of my cousin. He just sent me a picture of a hat. I like the response of the uncle.
Yes, he took it quite
interesting.
Very matured. Now this one is Amaka from Onisha. It says, I sent a breakup message to my landlord instead of my boyfriend. He replied, pay your rent first.
Don't break up with him first. Just come and pay your rent first. This landlord is so chill.
Honestly, he is.
Ngozi from Mowe says, I mistakenly emailed my lecturer my food shopping list instead of my assignment. She responded, add more vegetables. When you see lecturers like this, you just know that they are chill. They don't take some things to heart. So,
they understand
Ngozi, that your list is not comprehensive enough. You need to add more vegetables. When you are done, then you send me your assignment. Very important.
And this one is quite hilarious. This is Ibrahim. He says, I sent a crying emoji to my boss in response to a promotion announcement. He replied, are you okay? Ibrahim from Mina.
So Ibrahim, I'm trying to understand. So there was a promotion announcement. Is it that you were promoted
joy.
and you were excited, or your name was not amongst the list of those that were promoted and you sent a crying emoji. So we need to understand. So if it's that you were there and then you sent a crying emoji, you're excited and you didn't know how to express yourself again. But if your name wasn't there, that means you're sad. So would have really loved to know the context in which this emoji was used for us to better discuss this.
And I think that's all we have for views from the net. Stick around, we still have a little more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe.
High Impact Radio 102.1 FM. The future is now.
Welcome back. It's still the Breakfast Cafe. If you're just tuning in, this is where we discuss topical issue. Now, the topic for today is a very interesting one as it has to do with power. It is electricity banding, the hidden cost of power shortages. Now, before we bring in our guest, let me give you a backstory into this because it's a very important topic that we have to discuss. Now, banding or load shedding remains a critical issue in Nigeria, despite the improvements in certain areas. Now, many parts of the country, particularly in commercial capital Lagos, now receive relatively a consistent power supply, particularly the higher end areas like Band A zone. However, this improved supply comes at a cost. The frequent increase in tariff, which has burdened residents and businesses, particularly the poorer communities who now rely on affordable electricity. Now the grid, though improved in some parts, remains fragile with regular collapses that worsen the situation. Now, as of 2024, the Nigerian electricity grid has collapsed over 10 times, showing the system's inability to maintain stable supply. Now, this constant failure not only undermines the limited improvements made in the sector, but it also leaves Nigerians reeling under the pressure of constant outages. Now, this inconsistency hinders business activities. It drives up costs for small businesses that turn to generators and leave citizens struggling to cope. Additionally, the government's struggle with improving infrastructure and maintaining the grid reveals deep-seated problems and underinvestment, poor management, and a lack of long-term planning. Now, until a holistic, sustainable solution is put in place, that includes infrastructural development, a reliable grid, and possibly renewable energy source, the country will continue to face severe energy challenges. I mean, talking about the power outages, the grid collapse, it's like every other thing. Every other time now, when the light just blinks, we think it's...
Yes, that's Olumide's new anthem. Once power trips, Olumide will say, national grid.
But let's welcome our guest, Adebiyi Shiji Bennett. He is a social commentator. So glad to have you talk about this particular topic.
Good morning to you in the studio and good morning to the viewers.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us, Shijibomi Bennett. Thank you. Happy New Month, by the way.
Yes, happy new month and compliments of the season.
We wish you the very same.
Wish you too. So let me start by asking you first of all, which of the bands are you on? Are you on band A, band B, band C, band D?
Some people will tell you that they are bandless because they're not enjoying the benefits of the bands. But I think at home, I'm on band B, and in the office, I'm on band A.
All right. So how sustainable is this electricity banding system in Nigeria? And does it actually promote equity, among different socioeconomic classes?
The truth about it, from my own perspective, is that the idea was a lofty one. Having people who earn more, who can afford it, to pay more for electricity. It's not even as if they're paying more, but paying the rate at which, let me say, the competitive rate was a good one, because people, when the NLC was talking about it, they were saying increase in electricity. It wasn't like an increase in electricity because it was just 15% of the total consumers paying. So you have people, for example, in places that seems like people who are more, let me say, who can afford more are living. Places like Magodo, Lekki and all that. You have them put on band A. It was a lofty one. Anybody will tell, because it took about 40% of the subsidy off the government. But the challenge is you don't give people, you can't give what you don't have. So because the requirement for band A was that you will have at least minimum of 20 hours of electricity per day. So if you don't give people that minimum, automatically they're supposed to be yanked off that band A. So they're supposed to be paid, instead of paying the 300 and something naira per kilowatt of electricity, then they divide to like the 60 something naira per kilowatts of electricity. So that should be the standard.
Yes.
So, but at the end of the day, you have grid collapses, you have equipment collapse, obsolete equipment collapses. So, where is the 20 hours you have promised these people? So, in as much as we believe and everybody believed that it was a lofty idea, but they were not getting value for this stuff here, so they had to revert back to using their generators. So, in Nigeria, ideas are very common. Lofty ideas are common to come by, but the implementation and the fundamentals are what we find very difficult to have before, and this should have been put in place before those ideas should be brought forward.
Right.
All right. Okay. Sorry, Sarah, before you come in, I know that for bigger organizations, factories and all that, they say it is even cheaper or cost-effective to run on generator, talking about the load they have, than running on this band A thing. How would you react to that?
I don't think it's possible. I don't think so. Because, and I'm not saying it from a layman's perspective. I'm saying it from the premise of someone that has worked on this project before. 2 or 3 years ago, when I did a course on energy potential, renewable energy potentials in Southwest Nigeria, was a master's program, and I did a research on that. At that time, there was still subsidy. But I based the analogy and the analysis on the price of diesel, price of using generator compared to public electricity. And when you look at that, the 3 generator, petrol generator, diesel generator, and public electricity compared to renewable energy, that's using solar panels. Remember, I was looking at a 3-bedroom apartment. So having 4 AC, having, let's say, needing like using a generator that's like 8 kVA.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we got that for you to get to break even. If you use generator if you use diesel generator in 2 years, you've broken even. But if you use petrol generator, which when petrol was still, let's say, 185 naira per liter, it will take you like 8 years. Public electricity will take you like 10 years maximum. And the lifespan of a renewable energy project for that 3-bedroom flat was 15 years. So at the end of the day, give or take, in 10, 11 years, you are broken even. And you have 4 years to enjoy that job. Renewable. Factoring the fact that you have to buy new batteries. We did the analysis, we did everything, and I submitted it, and it was feasible. So for anybody to say using diesel generator, buying diesel at this rate, comparing it even at 300 and something kilowatts of per kilowatt of electricity, I don't think it's possible. It's what we've done before. It's what I have done personally before, and anybody will tell you it is not sustainable to be using diesel.
Right. You know, just this year alone, we've recorded about 10 grid collapses. In October, in 1 week, the grid collapsed 3 times. Now, the Minister of Power, in person of Bayo Adelabu, came out to talk about the fact that, oh, we're complaining about national grid, and this is owing to the deteriorating state of the power infrastructural system. He also stated that some of our transformers are as old as 50 years, 60 years, which is a big deal. I have 2 questions in one. Now, how would you rate the budget allocation to the power sector? That's one. Secondly, apart from, you know, changing these transformers or whatever what other measures can be taken to stabilize the national grid and prevent its frequent collapse? Those are my 2 questions.
For me, I don't think we're ready for a major overhaul. Maybe because of funds, maybe because of politics. And the truth about it is, if the current government thinks they want to really serve Nigerians, they still have to subsidize electricity, as it is being done everywhere in the world. You can take the subsidy of petrol and other stuff, but electricity, and build clusters. And when I'm talking about the current government, I'm not just talking about the federal government, I'm also talking about state governments.
Okay.
There has been a review of the constitution, and we have seen that even before President Buhari left, those energy has been taken off the federal government responsibility and put on states. So that's why you have states now going into energy provision. So you can do the off-grid methods, whereby and you can provide electricity and provide clusters of industrial clusters in your state, whereby people, what's it called, companies can come, site their stuff there, their production outfits there, and take a lot of pressure off the people, that the ordinary consumers. So it's an holistic thing. The funds that we need to do that, the federal government cannot provide. So the private sector has to come in. And the private sector coming in must not just come from the federal government alone. The state must be serious about it. Look at what happened in Abia in the early part of this new Fifth Republic. Sorry, it's Fourth Republic, but 2023, when Governor Oti came along with former Minister Batinaji, creating something like a power something in Abia, and you could see that people are enjoying it up to before they started having some teething problems, and they can still enjoy it. So if every state can invest in that, that will give us, and it's off grid, so it's not going to the national grid. So if we have those off-grid solutions in every state, that helps. So that a lot of pressure will be taken off the national grid. The national grid can be for residential consumers, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So we need a lot of collaborations from the federal to the state and with the private sector. So because funds will be needed for this, so that people can pay, people who really need this electricity can pay competitive rates. So that we can have a situation whereby the people that do not really have can enjoy subsidy on electricity. Because the situation we've had in the past is people that really that can really afford it are still the people being subsidized. People that have 20 ACs are still the people still enjoying 60 something naira per kilowatts of electricity, which is not supposed to be so. So the ordinary person who is in the village, who has just 4 bulbs to service and a fan, what are you subsidizing for that person? The person doesn't really need subsidy, and that person is not enjoying electricity.
Right. But I don't think you responded to the first question talking about the budgetary allocation to the power sector.
Okay. If I can remember, the question was, is the funding from the government enough?
Yes. Does it suffice?
So, yes. I think I wasn't specific about it, but I answered it in context. What I mean is, the government can never fund it alone. So the funding from the government for now, it can never be enough. So the private sector has to come in. So, and the government also has to be serious about it, provide the framework, provide the stability. That's where the states come in. So if we can have 36 Professor Bat in Naji in the whole of the federation, then we've started something. Look at what Davido's dad is doing at the federal level. But that won't really make any impact, because this has to still go to the national grid. But if we have Professor Bat in Lagos State and in all the other 35 states, and we have functional, serious-minded people at the helms of affairs who really know that power is the fundamental requirement for industrialization. Industrialization is the fundamental requirement to get people off the unemployment ladder. Then we'll be talking about progress. But without that, we'll just be going around in cycles.
All right, so I'd like to ask this question. I know we've heard this so many times that power was privatized and and all that. So my question is, do you think this current administration that we are right now, that truly power has been privatized, and do you think the government should keep funding this sector, or should they hands off and let the private sector fully take over power generation, distribution, everything? Do you think that power would actually improve at that point?
I made a statement earlier. I said we're not ready for a major overhaul. And the Holy Book said, when the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? In as much as I appreciate the former president, there was this fundamental error he made in terms of privatizing the power sector in Nigeria. And we have not recovered from that error. When those stuff, the power sector was broken into GENCOs and DISCOs, and the transmission was left in the hands of the government. Apart from the fact that the transmission which the federal government held on to had obsolete equipment and should have also been privatized.
Yes.
The people that took over the GENCOs and the people that took over the DISCOs were 100%, let me not use 100%, let's say most of them were businessmen with no adequate knowledge of the power sector in Nigeria. Maybe they didn't know the extent of the rot, or some of them did not even have a clue about anything electricity. Because Egypt started almost the same time with us. Today, Egypt is an exporter of electricity to Europe. So, we made a fundamental error in selling those assets to cronies. People have said we cannot compare that to commercialization or privatization done to the telecom sector done in Obasanjo. I agree. But you can see the progress we made because serious-minded and knowledgeable people took over. Even the people that had the federal government's own entity that had the biggest investment, that's NITEL, that became the Entel, could not compete. MTN came in, Vodacom and Econet, all of them came in before Glo now broke everybody's back with per second billing. Now, if we had had that same process, it's been 12 years, even more than that, in the power sector. And we had people like the Siemens of this world, the Vestas of this world, come in that time. And they took over. We will not be where we are now. But do you even know the people that took over? Before serious-minded businessmen, like even the Adeleke's came in, it was just a few years ago. So we had problems in generation.
Yes.
The federal government compounded the problems with transmission, and the DISCOs now expanded that problem. So now we have to go through all those processes again. When Fashola studied the agreement we signed, imagine a situation whereby when you don't produce electricity as a generating company in Nigeria, the federal government is obligated to even pay you as a company in millions of dollars. So let me tell you, will you be desirous to produce an electricity when you know that even if you don't produce transmission, the minimum you produce, the transmission company don't collect it from you because the DISCOs don't have the capacity to take that off, that you will even be paid. So what is your encouragement to produce or to even invest more as a GENCO?
Right.
So it's a lot problem.
That's
unless
a
we
big
start
deal.
it once again from the foundation, from the GENCO to the transmission company and to the DISCOs.
So it has to be, it's a foundational problem and it needs to be tackled from the foundation. I really would have loved to hop on one more question with you in about 1 minute. How can Nigeria better leverage renewable energy sources to address its energy shortage while reducing reliance on the grid? How can they make use of renewable energy sources better? In less than 1 minute, you can respond to that.
Patriotism, seriousness, leadership. When I mean patriotism, we should forget about regions where we come from. We should forget about different... Look at what is happening to the VAT bill. It's now been regionalized.
Yeah.
So, leadership, the federal government must take up the responsibility, leverage on what everybody has in terms of resources. In the north, there is sun. We can do solar. In Mambila, we have water. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then every state must take up the challenge. What is very important? What do I have as a resource in my state? I can provide electricity from Ekiti State if I have that resources and sell to another state. So we should just forget all this nonsense we're doing about ethnicity, regionalism, tribe, and all that, and make sure we fix this country.
All right, fantastic way to wrap up the conversation with you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us at Adebiyi Jibome Benneth and for sharing your thoughts with us as we discussed electricity banding, the hidden cost of power shortages. We sincerely appreciate all your thoughts and contributions this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
All right, that was quite an insightful one,
Yes.
I must say. I like that we're able to tap from his wealth of knowledge. He was speaking from an area of expertise. And like he stated, it is a foundational problem. And if we're going to tackle it, we need to start from the foundation. It's not just a work for only the government. Even the private sector have a role to play working with the government.
Generating so much and the discos can't even collect it. I mean, that's where we are. But, you know, we'll get there someday. We'll keep praying and keep hoping.
Well, away from praying, we'll do the right thing, right? That's the most important thing. We have a responsibility to play. But that's all we have on this segment. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We'll go on a break and we'll be back with our trending story for this morning. Do stick around.
Welcome back. The video you just watched is the Lagos State Environmental Task Force. They raided an area around Akowojo Egbeda Road. Suspects of numbering about 187 were arrested. I mean, drug sellers selling illegal substances and were arrested. And you know, this is one of the times I will say, you know, kudos to the Lagos State government. They are trying as much as possible, you know, to rid our societies of this thing, because drug abuse is really, really a big deal in Nigeria.
Right. It's also important to know that this exercise took place in the early hours of November 30th, which was on Saturday morning, and the State Commissioner of Environment and Water Resources in person of Tokumbo Wahab, who disclosed this information, said that makeshift stores and structures were all removed and demolished, and commodities on sale at the unlawful spaces and other items were also seized. We could see the video. They were destroying the stalls and all the structures they are put together just to carry out their illegal activities. Wahab also stated that while street traders unlawfully take over large portions of the carriageways to sell illicit substance, sellers also use the cover of the street vendors and adjoining streets to carry out transactions in hard drugs. And according to him, these suspects that have been arrested will be investigated and they will all be charged to court accordingly. But it should not just end there. I think they should, you know, look out for other areas too and make this a regular thing. But on the also, one of the things that these people do is when they see that there's a manhunt for them, they tend to step back a
Step
little.
back, yeah.
But the Lagos State government should not relent
Mm.
to fish out these unscrupulous elements. But let's take some comments. Let's see what people have to say about this particular incident. Bumexi says it's long overdue. Bumexi is applauding them for this act. Adubomi, that's my area, is being turned to a ghetto. Please, you need to go into the core street like Ere Ijesha or Fakoya, Samuel Street, Bameke, Afonka police just collect returns and let them be. Now, Bumexi is firing some shots at police there. Panya says, if you hang around shrine for Ikeja, careful with the laughing emoji. These are areas that need to be looked into. I think we have more comment. You want to take this one?
I thought, this is General Sami 231 says, I thought government were blind to see the hard drug sellers in that area before now. Nice job. So it's a shade and also a compliment. Now we have Brighto Ike says, so are the cars also disturbing too? Because tell me why the men were also stopping cars and trying to harass people driving by. We have this one. Ontario Cliche says, you will see some immigrants defending this and telling Lagos State to leave them because they are doing business new. I can't say the last one. It's quite interesting, you know, why some people would even say this, that the government should leave it. This hard drugs kills, hard drug destroys. Let's see if we have more comments, if we can take more of that. Now, this one says, this is...
Boyhadas.
Boyhadas, rather. It says, they will never go into Idioro at Mushin. That's another shot fired. So I hope they are listening. Idioro, Mushin. Well, this might be an allegation also. Now, this next one is says, but they will never go into Hausa quarters to drug sellers.
That's another strong one there. I don't know if we have more comments or those are all the comments that we have. We must commend them for this particular act, and we also encourage them. People will start to mention certain areas that they see these things happen. So it's important that they pay attention, find a way to bust these areas as well, apprehend the people that are carrying out this act. It's a fight, it's a move to end drug abuse, because you go on the streets, you see young people just taking anything, they've mixed everything together, you know, so this is not the time to rest on your R's because you've arrested about 187. Let's do more, but we appreciate the effort. But that's all on our trending story for today. You know that when we get to this point, we are swiftly coming to the end of the show. But we will not go without giving you weather forecast. We know Amatan is out there already, but let's see the weather forecast for today. And that is the size of our show this morning. We hope you had a fantastic time as much as we did. Thanks to our guest, Adebi Shijipome Bennett, and thank you to everyone that made this a success, one way or the other. Remember, or the other. Yeah, one way or the other. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Remember that you can follow us across all of our social media platforms at High Impact Studios and High Impact TV. Till I grace your screens next time, have yourself a fantastic week. I am Sarah Owusu-Ansah. Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure staying with us. Let's do this again. Same time tomorrow, same station. I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance,